Good evening, everyone, and I hope those who listen to the Voices of Change stayed on. We did send out something earlier, live video from our car. Elliot was eating and feeding us turtles.
Well, we enjoy turtles.
I love
It's a
turtles.
family thing.
I love turtles. I do love turtles. But
Togetherness.
my name is Jan, and I'll be your host. And
I'm Shamel, I'll be your co-host.
And I'm Elliot. I'll be your co-host.
you said co-ho?
No,
I'm sorry.
talking about hosts for the
No.
day, aren't we?
Oh my
I hope so. I said co-host with the T.
I'm
S and
sorry.
the T.
I'm so sorry.
We ain't talking about hosts today.
My bad.
That's in 2 weeks.
I don't know.
My bad. I forgot. We don't want to give it away, right? So I want to give a shout out to our partners, GV Entertainment out of Chicago, Oda Enterprises out of Indianapolis, and Gray Tech Service out of Chicago. Elliot is going to, since he wears many hats, he's going to grace us with a scripture. Elliot?
Our scripture comes from Psalms 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble.
A very present help. Oh, that is so appropriate today.
Yes.
Because today, this topic came up. Elliot called me when I got back, and he said, have you watched the Netflix show everyone's talking about? And I said, which one? The Central 5.
Yeah, when they see
And
us.
at that point, I hadn't really, I think I turned it on, and like I told Elliot, I think I've been black too long. I didn't want to see that. But I did finally watch it. I'd watched all of them. And today, Elliot's going to lead most of the discussion on it, and you'll be able to call. He's going to give out a number. But we're going to talk about the Central 5. Now, someone corrected me on Facebook when I mentioned it, and they said it's the Exonerated 5 because they've been exonerated. We know that. But we're going with the Central 5 with that theme, the same theme that
from
was
the title
from the title Netflix. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about racism and talk about your president and how he stoked these fears and stoked the fire of racism and lead into our discussion on the Central 5. We'll be right back.
All right. If I gave you my love, I tell you what I do. I'd expect a whole lot of love out of you. You got to treat me good, and I'll be good to you. There's a whole lot of things you and I could do, baby.
For those just tuning in, you're listening to the Voices of Change on Intellectual Radio. Today, we're going to start the topic off. We're going to be talking about the Central 5, but I think I'm going to start off talking about just a definition of racism. Elliot's cutting up you know what? We can't do chocolate before the show.
Yes, we can.
We had a chocolate party
before I come. You think I get through the show?
You do, that's why you're so...
I need to. When you in church all day, you need something to kind of pep you back up.
Okay. Well, now you got all three of us pepped up?
Yes.
Hey, I don't want to go alone.
It was my idea on the turtles anyway.
Yeah.
So it's her idea. Okay.
You know what? Turtles. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I said, what are the little pack of turtles? I just need like 2. Then he's like, well, let's just get the whole big pack. I'm like, all right.
We sat there
and we ate.
And I'm talking about cutting
them
in half what I eat. So instead of eating, how many turtles was in the pack? 12 or something?
Yes.
I know 11. I didn't eat more than 6.
So
11. I cut it in half, right?
You had 3. I had 3. She had 3.
I had 3, yeah. Well, somebody had an extra, though, because it was only...
Probably me.
Okay. So going back to racism, has anyone ever felt the impact, you guys being younger, have you felt the impact of racism? Do you think you have? No? Probably, maybe not. I mean, it's not a bad thing not to have.
Much.
No.
I guess I'll say not as much as you would hear about in
Exactly.
what you would hear about. Like, I don't think our generation really experiences it like that. If we do, I believe it's very mild. Some of us.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you may get that look, people like, okay. I'm like, well, I'm here to stay, so
Right, that kind of thing. But
next.
But
What?
you've never really felt the
No,
impact.
like
right.
you
Yeah,
know.
like telling me to you can't go. There's this place I like to go to eat French fries or whatever, and they said, well, you can't go in the restaurant part. You got to go around the back. And I remember going home telling my parents that my father snapped on me in so many ways that you don't go to a place where you're paying your money and you have to go in the back. But the French fries were so good, I would sneak.
So here we are talking about food
I
again.
would, I
See,
would, I would
no
sneak and
black
I would go
men.
to the back. And the city that I was from was so small. Someone saw me getting French fries. Yeah,
From the,
I didn't go back there. Yes, it was no small town.
you don't get away with
You
nothing in a
and I'm
small
like, oh my
town.
gosh. So yeah, they were burning crosses in that town in the 80s. That's before some of you were born, obviously. So um, racism has been so prevalent. When I went to college, I won't say what college, I guess, but as a freshman, they took us in orientation and told us, don't go to this part of the city
Mm.
after dark. And I appreciated that. Believe me, I appreciated that. Going to college, there was a little town called Martinsville,
Mhm.
and they would tell on the way to IU in Bloomington, and they would say, if you got to get gas, you got to do things strategic. So you didn't have to deal with that. Um, in part, I think, in part because you're almost isolated in a way, meaning that you weren't isolated because you were in South Carolina. You didn't feel racism is beyond me, but
I mean,
you weren't.
I wasn't. It's not that I didn't feel the racism. It's just at one point I was just so used to being in a certain setting that I didn't realize until I looked in the classroom and I was like, Shimmer, you're the only black person in this class, you know.
But
And
it's typically
even
never perpetuated. It's funny how it works. If you're like the only one, then you many times don't have a problem.
yes,
You know what I mean? Because
yes,
you're
it was
you're
very
you're different. So
selective.
you're
Us,
you're the yeah you're the
I
only
only
one.
felt like um not set aside, but chose as different when a teacher asked me like, "Oh, well, who did you vote for in like the election?" This is when Obama was elected the second time because I could vote, and I'm like, "Well, duh, who you think I voted for? Are you crazy?" It was just a crazy question, and then they also asked me like I was from Chicago and the way I said certain things,
Right.
like straw or strawberry or water. We say water.
Water.
We don't say water. Like it's too
Water.
much work. Just water.
Okay.
But they
It'd
were
be
Okay.
like,
too as it
"Oh,
be.
the way you say it, that's the only way I felt. That's the only time I realized where it was a little difference." And they were trying to figure me out. Like, well, why did you vote for Obama? I'm like, because he was black. Duh. I mean, what else
I
would I
remember
go?
having that particular
I
conversation.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
That.
other than that, when I was in South Bend, it wasn't a crazy town. Probably now it's crazier because of
You
their
think so?
president.
Okay.
Yeah, because they all out
Mm.
there now that one of their mayors running for president. Maybe it's not as crazy, but you know, it's probably pretty
Yeah.
crazy because what's his name came from there? Mike Pence, right? He came from
Yeah. Pence.
somewhere
Yeah.
in
Yes.
Indiana.
Yeah.
So
Pence. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
realized some of my close friends were Republican after that, but I didn't know until this president was in office and they were like shaking hands with Mike Pence and I
And
was
many
like,
times you
"What
you
the
won't
You
even
world?"
know
won't
then
know.
because
Right.
Yeah.
a lot of people will tell you, even people of our own color will say, I'm voting for whatever. Not that I ask, but they may
Yeah.
say it and they are actually going to the booth voting for. I mean, think about the number of women who voted him in. And if he gets reelected, it'll be probably that same group that votes him back in.
Uh,
I remember even it was systematic racism, even at the high school level. You have counselors directing you to uh, other fields, but not directing you to college. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but it had racial overtones. I'm not an advocate for every kid going to college, but when I was in high school, I was pulling a 4.0. So luckily, I had a black counselor. And
Mm.
my black counselor said, "Oh no, 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 no! If anybody you go into school." But they directed us to other things like the clerical pool, the secretarial pool, the this, the that.
Right.
You always had somebody pushing you, but you saw racial overtones all the time. So racism is a belief in race is superior to the other, or the practice of treating a person or group of people differently on the basis of their race. An example is believing that Caucasians are superior to African Americans. An example of racism is refusing to hire an Indian person for a job. There are different types of racism. There's scientific racism, when people say that biologically blacks are inferior. I know you've heard all these theories about the size of their brain, this and that. You have cultural racism. Some people feel that we're culturally inferior and should be made to adapt or assimilate or whatever. Then you have institutional racism, which we see all over. But Donald Trump, just to speak on Donald Trump and how he has really stoked the racial tensions because of the different things that he said. I'm talking about in a real small time frame. One of the things he talked about was the squad. That's the one that everyone's talking about now, where he attacked the 4 liberal Democratic congresswomen, all women of color, saying that, tweeted and saying that they should go back to their country of origin. Now, some people didn't feel that that was racist. They felt, well, maybe he thought they were from a different country, and because he didn't know when he was over
Get
speaking,
him out. Oh my
but
God.
that was definitely racist. There's
Definitely.
and then three
definitely.
of them were born here.
Yes.
One was from Somalia, and
Oh,
she'd been here longer than his wife, but we're not going to play that.
oh,
Oh,
hello.
oh,
I'm
Tell her to go back.
Right, I'm just saying
right.
that, and another one was Omarosa. Everybody remembers she was joined at the hip, and she was an advocate, saying how Trump is going to take over the world and this and that. I remember when he was running, and she was really his mouthpiece in our community, and I think that's how he had her positioned. But they fell out because she was going to write a book about the White House tenure that was critical of the president. He attacked her. He attacked her and said he called her a dog and a crazed, crying lowlife. And he went on to say, when you give a crazed, crying lowlife a break and give her a job at the White House, I guess it just didn't work out. That's what he tweeted, a dog and a lowlife. Another time, LeBron James and Don Lemon. Everyone know we had a whole show on it when LeBron opened up that school that has
Right.
been doing fabulous, I Promise School.
Wonderful stuff.
So he spoke to Don Lemon on CNN. And what did he say? Donald Trump tweeted, LeBron James was just interviewed by the dumbest man on television, Don Lemon. He made LeBron look smart, which isn't easy to do. Well, Don Lemon definitely shot back, and he went on a 9-minute tirade. He shot back, but this is what Trump does. Maxine Waters. He criticized the California Democratic intelligence many times, saying that she has an extraordinary low IQ. Charlottesville with the white nationalist rally where the girl got killed. He said, well, there's good people on both sides, and both sides had a part in this. Now, this is a KKK white nationalist rally. MS-13 animals, where he talked about immigrants and said that they're animals. NFL players, he was ticked off, and he said, wouldn't you love to see one of those NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now. He's fired. That's what he tweeted, because he was ticked off because some of the players took a knee
Right.
protesting police brutality. And then we go to this case. Oh, no, shithole countries. I forgot about that. During the immigration talks in the Oval Office in January 2018, he said the countries of Haiti, El Salvador, and African countries, brown and black countries, he said, why are we having all these people from these countries come here? This is what he told the lawmakers. Then he went on to say that the U.S. should try to increase immigration from countries like Norway. Now, do you see the difference between Norway and African countries? Obama birther. We know how he said Obama wasn't an American. The Muslim Gold Star parents, these poor Muslims, their son died. Trump attacked them. Because the father, Khazar Khan, who lost a son in the Iraqi war, he spoke out against Trump. And he assailed Trump for proposals that would bar Muslims' entries into the U.S. Trump suggested that the Clinton campaign wrote Khan's convention speech because he didn't think Khan had enough sense to write it himself. Then he went on to say that his wife didn't speak. Now, she was distraught. She lost her son. He said she didn't speak because she couldn't speak, because she wasn't allowed to speak. Then he goes, Mr. Khan, who does not know me, viciously attacked me from the stage of the DNC and is now all over TV doing the same. He's just a whiner. And now we're going to come to Central Park 5. Everyone knows Trump rolled that. I think that's kind of one of the first times I really heard of him.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
But you remember?
I remember that, but I don't remember hearing so much about him. He was supposed to be. I know he was in New York, and but he was a real estate mogul or something. But I didn't really.
Right.
But this is when I really start putting him on the radar. And this was in the late '80s, '89.
89 when this happened. Yeah.
Trump has repeatedly disparaged a group of Black and Latino men wrongly accused of assaulting a white female jogger. And everyone knows her name, and Elliott's going to talk more about that. In 1989, Trump, then a popular business mogul, spent $85,000 worth of ads published in the New York Times, the Daily News, the New York Post, and New York Newsday, in which he lamented crime in the city and claimed there was no more law and order. Trump said he hated those muggers and murderers. He has refused to back down, calling them muggers on Twitter in 2013 even after they were paid out $41 million because the city settled with them because they knew it was wrong. Around a month before the 2016 election, Trump stood by his opinion that time, saying that the five men were guilty, even though they have since been exonerated of the crime. He went on to say because they admitted their guilt. Now, everybody know that they admitted it under duress, and that was proven.
Yes.
But he will not back down. This guy doesn't apologize. And these are only a few things that he's done recently
Yeah.
that's led up to this. Now, Elliot, we're going to let you take it and
Go.
talk about this. This was just too. And I remember watching Roots. And that was another one that was on a miniseries day after day after day, and you just didn't want to watch it all. It was just this was one of those ones, like you said, that was kind of similar to that in the same vein.
Yeah. Just in watching and just doing a little research after, if anybody's watched it, you know that it is very hard to get through, especially the first episode where they set everything up and they show you what's about to happen with these five. And you had one that was very innocent. But after the miniseries, there's an interview with Oprah and the five, exonerated five, and the five actors who played them and one or two of the parents. And it was just so interesting to get everybody's introspective of what it took to play these five men and what it took to play them as children, what it took to play them as adults, and then to get the actual five, their insight and what they felt. And it was so interesting to find out how they were all concerned about one because his story was so different from the four.
Which one was that?
Oh, his name escapes me right now.
What was his story? What was the backdrop?
Okay,
I'm
so
trying to remember.
If you remember, so four of them were all in the same prison, but one of them was taken to the federal prison because he was 16 and he was actually innocent. He went down to help.
Oh, I do remember. Then they got him. Yes,
right. Because he wasn't even involved, but he went down because that was his best friend.
Right.
And he said, my mom's gonna have a fit if I don't go down here with them. So.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Was that the one with the fro?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Yes. So he
Yeah,
he went through the most,
yeah.
and he didn't do anything. Like he was in solitary confinement, because he just went through the most. His story was so different. And when they were meeting with the producer, they told her, "You must tell his story." I think his name is Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Michael?
Okay.
Yeah, you must tell Michael's story. Because his story was so different from ours. He went through things that we didn't go through, and it was said that they didn't really know exactly all that he went through until they actually sat down and saw the movie themselves. They had no idea it was that bad. They knew it was different, and they knew something going on, but they didn't know how bad it was for him. And that was very emotional. So we're dealing with five young at the time Black boys from New York,
14 and 15 years old, and that one 16-year-old.
Yes.
Babies.
Yes. Who were just following a crowd of people to Central Park. And they were just, how we as Black people do. We congregate, we hang out. We don't mean any harm. They're just going out, minding their business, having a good time. And police come and they start running like, okay, what's going on? And these five young men get accused of raping a white female. Well, she's been jogging and she's been drugged into Central Park and raped and everything else. And you literally, the hardest part, I believe, of the very first episode is to watch these Caucasian, I'm going to try to be as politically correct as I can. These Caucasian detectives interrogate these young black boys
alone and
alone without their parents, without
yeah,
lawyers, making them confess. They're calling out names. Who's Ray? Who's Mike? I don't know these people.
yeah.
I don't even know who that
Well, he
is.
said that he did it, and he,
And who is he? Because
yeah,
I don't know. They don't even know each other.
yeah.
Hmm.
Except for one kid,
Right.
a few of them
Right. They don't really like
know
know
each
each other.
other.
They're being made to lie. They're being made to sign saying, "Well, I'm admitting to this." They're being
Like, oh,
made
you'll go
to.
home soon, and it's like that's why I couldn't watch. It's like you're lying to these. Oh,
And
Yeah.
it
I was
just
I was just kind of surprised. I guess because I come from an era where I wouldn't have believed anything they said. But when they were but these were 14 and 15-year-olds. They kept telling them that if you say this, we're going to let you go home.
yeah,
In some instances, they were even beaten, and they
Yeah.
made the parents leave. Now, Chicago historically has a history of, without saying any names, the people aren't here anymore, of doing things like that too. So it isn't just a problem out east, but for them to force it, I think what really got me was that even when they went to court and trial, they had no physical proof. The DNA, she knew about the DNA in the sock. She knew there
Yes.
was another DNA.
Yes.
But you see how she manipulated that whole situation because she wanted these five guys, these five boys to go down.
Yeah.
And they just dismissed everything and ultimately put them in prison because of what they said under duress. And they knew it was under duress. It was hard to watch.
I'm just glad people started talking about her and getting her after everyone saw this. Like they made her lose that power she had. She lost.
Yeah.
And her prestige, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You
it's
yeah.
had
like
She was
you
to.
taken
are a
down.
piece of what?
A piece of work. A lot of people are a piece of work, and they,
Hmm.
they, she was so focused on getting,
Lying.
and she did. They stayed in jail for years.
Yeah.
Some of
Like
them stayed,
well into their adulthood.
yes, 12 years, 7 years, 5 years.
Hmm.
They were incarcerated for all that time, and some of them had a hard time when they came out. Remember the Santana guy?
Yeah.
Was that the one who ended up selling drugs and going back?
Yeah. And the other one, um,
They don't know what life is
oh, the names
outside
are
of
escaping me.
jail.
That's so
Well,
bad.
you know what? How do you it's really
Adjust to
difficult
something you've
when
never
you've
had.
been right and you went there as a baby. You didn't
Right,
even go there as
Yeah.
a
and
man.
of course, and they're not knowing that this is going to change your entire life. It was heartbreaking. Number one, to watch the young one, the one that played the trumpet. He was just so
Oh yeah,
like
the young one,
that broke
yeah,
my heart because I'm like he was so
because
upset.
you're a
Like I want to go
musician.
home. I want to go home, and I want to be able to play my trumpet. And I can't do this now. I have to have a whole nother life when I come out of here. And to watch these young men try to go back into society, and for them to have to explain you can't do what you once did because you've been convicted
A
of this
lot of
crime.
things they couldn't. Is it the same way where they can't get license and stuff if they've been incarcerated?
I
Like
think.
they were talking about license for even like I don't know if you want one of them wanted to be a teacher, remember an educator, or
Right.
one of them wanted to do something this one, and they said, well, you can't do that now. Their life has changed so much, and they
But it's
have them
not,
in
and I
such a
feel like that's
box.
something that should be expunged because you exonerated them, you gave them, you saw it wasn't true, and it's like you're holding them back for something they didn't do.
And now these are grown men. That was
Corey
30 years ago.
Corey Wise is the one that
Corey. Okay.
had the different story where he was the innocent one. He went down with Yusef,
Hmm.
The friend.
and that I was trying to
And
make
they
sure.
got him then.
Right, and because he was 16, so they put him in federal prison, and he went through like they beat him up in prison.
I heard about that.
Um,
Yeah.
you
It was
know,
hard to
it
watch.
was hard. He had some people that looked out for him in the movie, which was really good. But it was like he went through stuff that he didn't have to go through. He had nothing even to do with that. He was going down to be with his friend.
As a black male, why was that hard for you to watch?
The tough question.
I just want to put it in a now perspective, in a
For me, it was like going back to seeing Get Out. How growing up, your parents would say things about other races, and you wonder why they would be so upset at white people, and they would have all this commentary, but you didn't know because you never really lived through it.
so you didn't understand like when your parents or your aunts and uncles said stuff, you're like, why are they like that?
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until going watching Get Out and kind of watching you like everything they said to you is true. it's the same kind of thing here. It was hard to watch because it felt like I was looking at myself in a lot of cases. I'm being accused of something that I did not do. And I'm constantly saying, this is not me. This is not what I do. I have nothing to do with this. But you're pressuring me and you're taking advantage of my ignorance because I don't understand the law
Hmm.
and how it works. And you understand it, you're making it crooked for me because you accuse me just based off of the color of my skin. Because you just think because I'm black and I'm a guy that I did this.
And that's the whole thing. How they see us. How did they see them? They saw them
Uh,
as
Exactly.
as animals.
Yes.
I mean, savages.
You
They
saw how they
they
had him in that
beat.
room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just oh yeah. That's why I haven't finished it, and it's gonna take a lot for me to finish just the first episode. I just
If you get through that first one, you can get through everything else. That first
Yeah,
one
you
is
get through
very
the other ones. The
hard
first one is
to
yeah,
watch.
yeah.
yeah,
That
I
is
keep stopping. I'm like, I'm just getting mad, and I just cut it off. It's not
Yeah,
that I don't want to watch Ava DuVernay. I know she did a thing, but
she did.
I just can't. I just have to
It's
keep
hard.
stopping.
I made myself because I saw all the commentaries prior to.
Mhm.
I kind of knew what I was in for, so I said I'm just going to sit down and I made myself watch from like all the way. I had to because I'm
Do
like,
you feel vulnerable being a black man in 2019? Even now with the possibility of I don't know something happening to you with racial overtones that may have a negative impact.
well, I never have, and this is weird because I feel weird just saying this,
But that's a
but
good thing. That's a good
I've never
thing.
felt vulnerable, and maybe charge it to my ignorance. I guess I've
No,
never
that's
been
a
in a
good thing.
place to where I felt like I was racially profiled.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't feel that way.
You know what?
I'm
I cannot go. I bet right now if I call my sisters and say, let's go to Oakbrook Mall and let's all five or six of us, let's go shopping. I would want you to go with us so you can see what racial profiling
I mean,
is.
and I've been to Oak Brook Mall
Yeah,
several times. Hello,
me
me and
and
you have
you have
gone,
went.
and I've never. Well, okay, so now you bringing something back to mind. Okay, yes, I had to think about it because it's been so far few in between, and I will admit I can be in my own world. So if
That's
stuff is going on
okay.
around
That's
me,
okay.
I pay no attention. I've gone downtown the stores and just walked around, and you know I don't pay people any mind. Um, and of course, we've all had the experience of going to several stores and been followed, been watched, been looked at, all of that. And I think because I know that that's happening, I'm very careful about what I do anyway in the store. And I guess that's why I feel like I'm not purposely being profiled because I'm watching my own self, making sure that I'm literally looking. I'm the person I'll go fast about it. Hey, can you tell me where this and that is? I'll purposely do it
Okay.
to keep you
Well,
from having to follow me.
so when you go, so you don't have people following you in stores
If
and.
they do, I've never paid them any attention. I'm
Oh
certain they
my goodness.
have.
Oh, see, I guess maybe because I'm I'm
Because
so much in tune with that.
yeah, and again, I'm in my own world. Most of the
Yeah,
time, my
which is
mind,
okay. Which is
I'm
okay.
in here to buy something.
Well, that's what
And
I'm in there to do. But okay, when I'm going, I'm not saying women shop different than men, but sometimes I may want to look this, put it down there. Then I see somebody like I see a shirt, somebody follow me. Then I go somewhere else in the farm. Then I go somewhere else. Then I say, "Are you following me? What are you following me for?
and I haven't had to
what,
go that
what
far.
are you
That's the crazy
doing?"
part. And I love Oak Brook. That's one of my favorite places. I would go there anytime.
No,
oh hello,
down.
come
No,
on, friend. Come
Oak
on, why
Brook,
we ain't
Oak
got
Brook
this?
Yes,
wasn't to me as when we go to Oak Brook.
you
I
don't
haven't
really
had
have
the
that
problems that I had
experience.
like downtown.
And
When
but
Marshall
see,
Fields was downtown. Oh my!
but you would
One time I had a whole thing of clothes to buy,
yeah.
and because this woman act ignorant, I said, you know what? After she brought it, take all this back. I don't want none of this. Matter of fact, I won't come back in this store anymore.
But it's so funny because do you have that problem downtown in Macy's at all? Now that it's
I don't
Macy's,
really go to Macy's,
I don't go to Macy's back alone. That's
but
probably
I
why I don't
like
have the
Oak Brook.
problem.
I like Oak Brook. I haven't, but I normally go with you for Oak Brook.
Oakbrook
Right, but
Macy's,
maybe
yeah.
it's because like I don't know if you would
Oh, Oak
consider
Brook Macy's,
this
right? I'm thinking
Yeah,
downtown.
right.
I go there.
I
I ain't
think
going
it's
there.
because like okay, if I go to Macy's, I'm normally going to back alone. So they're like, hey, would you like to like try this cologne? Is there something I can help you with? If that is a form of racial profiling,
No, it
I don't.
isn't, Elliot. I've been
I'm
there
not
with
saying that it
you,
No,
is. No,
Elliot.
no, no, no,
No,
no. That's the only experience I really have where
I'm
it's
not
a.
hypersensitive. No,
That's the only experience I really have like face to face. It never gets anything further than that
I
because
just
I'm
really
the
want you to
person.
be with us next time when
I'll
they come in.
gladly go.
But just kind of be in the background where you're not,
Yeah.
so you can kind of just
Then
watch.
you see me act up because then right. But see again, I'm like of that one track man. I'm gonna come in and this is what I'm coming to buy, and I'm headed out the door. I'm gonna look
No, no,
around.
no. Let's frame this right. When we go into Oak Brook and he's going in the cologne section, first of all, he goes to the most expensive cologne, and he knows all the brands and all the little nuances. So
But they're all the same price.
they know he's no he. When I went with you, nothing. It was we had a great shopping experience
Right.
every time.
But
Just
that's
go
my
by.
normal experience when I go shopping anywhere.
I have
though.
problems when I go with my sisters when it's like more than three of us. That's when I
And that's
find.
probably what it is. Not saying that it's probably because it's more than just one person. I normally don't go with more than one person. It's probably me and one person, no more than just us two. Because that's always been me. But see, I'm the loner. I go everywhere by myself anyway. So that's probably why I've never had that problem.
Yeah.
I'm just I haven't had any major kind of racial profiling happen, but I'm careful because I've been pulled over once or twice, and the first thing comes to mind, like, okay, why are you pulling me over? And there's very seldomly has it ever been a cop that looks like me that's been pulling me over. And then they're like, oh well, you're the last time I got pulled over, they were like, oh well, your headlight is out, and I didn't know that. It was
Oh,
like
but
2 in
that's
the morning.
okay. That's
And
what they're
that's okay.
supposed to do.
But of
Yeah.
course, like
We thinking.
the first
But
thing.
when I see the light behind me, my heart's like,
I took a picture.
no, I have my phone.
Right. Like, okay, so since you're bringing up memories, I used to drive down to Indianapolis like once or twice a year
That's
to
my
visit
neck
some
of the
friends.
woods. Yes.
So my friend Corey, his father passed away, and I had planned to stay until Saturday morning, but they had called me like the night before and say, hey, can you come back early so we can do X, Y, and Z. So I'm driving back in the middle of the night, and I'm just driving. I'm on the phone with my friend, and I'm trying to take off my jacket. I'm driving down what is it, 85? Coming back from
65.
65, one of them, yeah. So I'm driving down 65, driving, and I get pulled over by a state trooper. And I'm like,
Really, on 65?
yeah,
Oh.
because I was trying to do two things at one time, and so they said I was
Okay.
swerving. They thought, "Are you
Oh,
okay?"
okay.
You know,
Yeah.
Okay, that's
But
different.
again, that first thought as a black person,
Yeah, on 65.
right? You ain't in Illinois yet, baby. You
Yeah,
are in
yeah,
Indiana.
yeah.
So
But
that
yeah.
first thought as a black man is, okay, am I gonna make it out of this?
How long ago was this?
Now, this was 2011.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you think something like that, something like the Central Five, could happen today?
I think it still does.
Absolutely.
I
Okay.
absolutely think it still
Okay.
does happen. Um, we just don't hear about it, but I'm very certain that it still happens. I believe there there are several versions of these exonerated five yet sitting in prison for
Probably so.
stuff they did not do and
Mhm.
gone through the exact same experiences, if not similar to these exonerated five. I'm very
And I
certain of
think
that.
a lot of it is because of her title, how they see us.
Yeah.
When they see us, they expect that criminality. When they see us, they expect not every. I'm not, and don't let me. I'm not speaking broad. I'm not speaking, but they look at some of the brown and the black people, particularly the black people I'm speaking of,
Yeah.
as animals. They look at
Yes.
them as criminals. They view them different.
Yeah.
So they're going to think that that's probably what you've done. I remember having a person saying that, well, he got in for this, but he ain't guilty. Well, if he's not guilty for this, I know he's done something, so he should probably get locked up anyway.
But that's what it ends
Really?
up being.
Crazy.
But check this out. Here's the thing, and because you're really making me think. I think I probably have a different experience as a black person because got time.
Go ahead.
I think I have a different experience as a black person because I'm gonna say this and get in trouble because of the way that I look and the way that I carry myself.
The way that you look, you black as I am.
I'm black, but what I mean by that, um, let's say they lump us all in this one thuggish street kind of thing.
Okay.
Not every black man is a thug. Not every black is a street person. Let me go, let me pull out my card. Let me go ahead and pull out my boy. Because anytime we get to stuff like this, I gotta pull out Jamel for a second. Because let's look at Jamel Roberson, how they painted him. They tried to paint him as being a gang member, a
And
street
that's
person,
not what he
and that's
was.
not what he was. I don't care what he looked like. That's not what he was. But that is how they see us. No matter what it is. If you're not dressed up like this, or you don't carry yourself in a certain manner, you are automatically deemed as somebody that's going to cause trouble. I can't walk into a store with my book bag and my jeans, whether they're sagging or they're up, my Vans or what have you, and a t-shirt, a graphic tee or what have you, and my hat on backwards. being casual and be taken seriously. I have to come in there dressed like this, or I have to carry myself in a certain
I
manner.
think that you've been extremely lucky. There has been incidences of people dressed like you and dressed in suits and dressed in designer wear, and all they still see is our black face. So
And
I think you've
maybe
been
I
very
have,
lucky.
because if
You
that's
know,
all they
yeah,
see of me,
yeah,
they I don't know, because I don't know. I've never had that experience, but what I'm getting
which
at
is
it,
good, which is good.
on the grand scheme of things, they see us in this particular way that appears to be
And
unappealing.
and part of the reason, and that's a show that I wanted to do too. Oh, I'm gonna really step on. Part of the reason why they may see us that way is because oftentimes we're depicted that way. When you look at the
Yes.
movies, when you look at the videos, when you listen to the lyrics, I
Yes.
start listening to rap music lyrics because I want to do a show on rap music and what it's doing to a generation.
Yes.
By the lyrics,
Yes.
yeah, white people enjoy rap music, but they don't embrace it. We listen to rap music and we try to play it out. We
Because
try to live it.
that is a part of a part of that is a part of our culture, what we grew up in. So a lot of the music that you
What is part
hear,
of our culture?
that the things that happen in rap music that they're putting out there.
No,
So
I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about the B's and the H's and
oh,
the.
no, no, no. What I'm saying is their rap. A lot of these people are speaking their truths in their own world, and
A lot of these
their
people
truths,
have
not ours.
high powered people who don't look like us who is pushing this
And
agenda.
that too. That
Okay.
too. That's how we get out there. I'm saying they're
Hmm.
speaking it because that's their truth and how they deem things to be. That
Right.
doesn't apply to everybody, but that's how we're depicted. That's how
Right.
we're seen. And part of that is we embrace part of that.
I agree.
We embrace it. We condone it. And from a musical standpoint, here I go, because you get me riled up.
Well, I really want to do a show on that. Anyway.
And people disagree with me when I tell them, I said music is a powerful thing, number one, but I think
Yes,
they
it
disagree with
is.
me when I say what you listen to speaks a lot about who you are and how
Yes, it
you
does.
feel. Not all music is just a recreational thing. You like playing this particular song because you relate to it at some point.
Why are you laughing, Shamel? Shamel, you've been
Uh-huh.
real
Think about the
quiet.
music
Yeah,
that I
Uh-huh.
and the
listen
Makes
lyrics,
you
to.
think.
and the
Why do
It's
you
like
lyrics, and
why
the
do you
lyrics.
okay, let's take for
really
example.
with me is
Yes.
really certain the beats and the music. Like the bass might be harder, or I don't know. I'm really a
But
person that
would you
listen.
enjoy that same beat and same bass if the words were different? Would you enjoy
Yes.
it? Really?
Yes.
Because
Cause not
I don't know. I
certain
mean, you
lyrics
probably might,
they
but
they degraded women, but of course my dumb self just singing it, and I'm like Shamel, that has nothing like this. The music, like you said, we promote it, we sing it, we put it out there. We like music back in the 90s was such different. They were actually lyricists. They were actually
they wrote,
speaking. You
yes.
know,
Yeah.
now it's just repeated. It's just
What, two words and you're a
you're
hit.
a hit.
and
Like
Like,
and
whoa, wait a
who's
minute.
pushing
shoo,
what
shoo.
top
It's just
Right.
execs are pushing that agenda? When you have vocalists, people who can really sing, and
That's not even a thing
they're not
today.
even getting to promote their music because of this other whole genre of music. We don't even have multi layers of music. Who's promoting that? Who are the top execs, and why are they promoting it?
That also speaks to that. I believe that goes into the ignorance of the generation, because as the generations come in, they're becoming, we're all this now. This is what we are. Remember, at one point when we were children, we were writing everything down on pen and paper.
yeah. They didn't
Some
have
we were, I
phones
think we were the generation that we made that transition from pen and paper
to
to
phones.
phones.
Yeah, we
And
did.
now our children, they come out the womb with a phone in their
Phone in
hand.
hand.
They can
And
program
that's
it better
one
than
thing I'm afraid
us.
of. Like
And
you,
that's scary. But that bleeds into the other
you
things when it
can't.
comes to our music. The particular part of the generation doesn't necessarily care what it sounds like or what it does. I still say part of it is I relate to this. Other than the beat is good and that draws me, but
Yeah,
there's something in this song that I relate to, that I like, even though it doesn't make any kind of
I
sense and
don't.
it don't agree with
And
probably
it's
how I
not
would.
just one song; it's
It's
song after song.
Song.
several,
I've been listening to lyrics,
several.
not the radio version, but I'm talking
Yeah,
about the lyrics of the raw version, and I'm like,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
I have to print them out because I'm like, I know I'm not hearing this right.
I just
I
look,
just-
and I get talked about because I'm a gospel person. I'm like, but I'm not coming from a gospel standpoint. I'm coming from a musician standpoint of a person that studied music all around. That there's all stuff has been accepted because there's something in it that you relate to. just in general, just in music, whether it's the beat or it's the
And
lyrics or both.
Yeah.
music gets in your psyche. You may not want to
Yeah,
believe it,
but
but
it
it does.
does.
You
It
absorb it. It
does.
Yeah.
gets in your psyche.
Let's
So
let's make this reference and then we're gonna get back to our regular subject because we go everywhere.
we do go. Yeah,
We
Let's
all
go
over
back
the
we are.
to
place. It's okay.
Straight Outta Compton when they had F the Police.
Yes.
That started the whole thing
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
people related to it because of what they were going through. It spoke to where they were at, and people
Yeah.
took on that mindset because it's what they related to. The beat was good, but what made the beat even better, you spoke to something that spoke to me.
But it was
Right.
different back then. Nowadays, like we said, it's just two words, a catchy hook, and you
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
You know.
But at that same token, it's still a thing of there's something in this other than just the beat and whatever
Exactly.
musical elements. It's something that they're saying that you relate to because
They're
you can quote it
they're
forwards
not
and
they're not
backwards.
only saying it, they're strategically overwhelming you with it. When you hear
Yeah,
something over and over and
yeah,
over and
yeah.
over and over again,
It's
you
on
will embrace
purpose.
it.
You will.
But I know we only got a couple minutes. So what, Elliot, in your opinion, what can we do to avoid something like this happening again?
It's
Well,
I
I mean,
would
it's
I
so
would dare to
big. I
say
mean,
that it's
what?
impossible to
Yeah, it
avoid it
is.
because as long as
How can we
from
mitigate
a
it then? How can we
black
minimize it?
I'm not gonna this is gonna be real stupid. I'm gonna laugh at my own self. Become a white man.
Well,
Is that the only
Oh,
way?
well, I tell you, I've been black too long to
Hello.
even
As
watch it.
long
It's
as you black
just,
and you're a male or just black, period, you are subject to this. This can happen to you at any time. That's just
it's like
where we
stay in the
are.
house, don't go nowhere.
Right.
oh my
Because
God.
Literally.
that's what we're coming to in a
Yeah.
minute. God forbid
You
we're gonna be
can't.
in a place where we as black people can't even walk outside.
And do you think that the things are now worse because of the leadership of the country
Yes.
speaking such vile messages?
Definitely
Yes.
because that opened up the
The country
floodgates. If the
wasn't.
Yes, it
It
did.
president
did.
can say it, oh, we can all say it now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because it wasn't this crazy
It
when you
wasn't
Right.
had other
from any other
presidents. You
president.
know,
They often refer to Obama, but we can go back to Clinton. Clinton was
anybody. Exactly.
not even now. Bush was probably the most interesting president we've ever
President.
had, and it didn't even get this crazy
Oh
with
no,
him.
Yeah.
no, no. Mm-mm.
So
So
I'm saying
it's the
this is
leadership.
by far, prayerfully, it does not get any worse. Probably the worst state we've been in, and because whatever comes up comes out.
The worst
Whatever you,
state will be if he wins again in 2020.
oh God forbid, help
Um,
us. But it's like I'm just
We
being
gotta
real.
vote something.
You say what you want, and we have to take it because you're the president. You tweet it every time,
but we
and
don't have to take it.
we
You know what I
don't.
mean?
But here's what it is. What I'm getting at is you get to say this
I
stuff,
get
and you
it.
open up the floodgates, and
Yeah.
now people
For
think
the
they can.
crazies, and they
Yeah,
do. Why you think
you can walk up to me and say
Susie be
stuff,
talking about Shamel for going up the elevator or something, or whatever they
dumb
might
stuff,
do?
dumb
It's just
stuff. But
Shamel went up the elevator. Why is she?
you
yeah.
opened up the floodgates for that
Yes.
now. And
Yeah.
so now we're watching this happen. I don't think there's anything necessarily that we can do to
Prevent
avoid
it.
it, prevent
Yeah.
it, but we can definitely,
Do better.
yeah, we can do better on our end.
Yeah.
The thing is,
Pay attention as parents and
yes, we can't
know your
control what other
rights.
people do, but we can definitely control what we do as a
Yep.
people. We have to sit down and have these conversations with our children. Um, we have to just make sure that they're aware. We have to make sure that we're aware, make sure that our children are aware, make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to do, not living in fear and not living in not hiding, but just being cautious or
Yeah.
or
Wherever
or
you at.
aware. Just be aware of what's happening. And if you're gonna make a certain step, know that you're gonna get some pushback for it. Be ready for it, because this is where we're at.
They're afraid of us because
And
they
that's what that
know
is
we're powerful. If we really stood together and
for
was
real.
one as a culture, we can take over this
which is
whole thing.
which is why they spend so much time trying to get us to be against each other.
Yeah.
Well, this is a fight for their life too. I mean, think about it. The census says pretty soon they'll be a minority,
Yeah.
particularly when you talk about black and brown people. Any kind of collaboration between black, Hispanics, whatever, and brown people,
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
But you're right. We're much more powerful when we get our own house in order, and that's anybody at any level. And I want to thank my wonderful co-host for taking the lead on this
Oh, thank
and
you.
giving me a topic, even though it was so disheartening for me. It
Whew.
was. This
Yeah,
was
that's hard.
it was just too real.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week at the same time at 6 o'clock on the Voices of Change on Intellectual Radio. I want everyone to have a great week and be blessed.